Hi guys. So this is the third time I'm recording this video. The first time the video was 17 minutes long, and I thought that was too long. And then the second time I tried recording it, my computer just shut off and ended it in the middle. So hopefully this one works. So we are on page 30 in our packet. We're looking at 125, which is writing an inequality from a scenario. So we have very similar steps when we wrote equations from a scenario. So we're going to walk through this pretty quickly. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video to catch up. So we want to read through the entire problem once before we start trying to solve it. We want to look for some key words or some clues that indicate the operation being used. So add, subtract, multiply, or divide. And we want to underline or circle anything that is necessary to solve the problem. So any numbers that are important, any operation words, maximum, minimum values, that sort of thing. That's going to help us. If you notice something that doesn't pertain to the problem, is extra information that we don't need, you can cross it out so that you don't get confused by it. Then we want to determine which inequality symbol to use. And to help us do that, we are going to use our table that is below all of these steps, and we're going to fill out some keywords down there, and so we'll get there in a second. Then we want to double check our final answer with the scenario just to make sure we have everything accounted for. So just like with writing equations, we do have the same template or a very similar template. So we have some starting point. To that starting point, we are going to add or subtract some sort of change. What's different about this is because it's an inequality, we do not use an equal sign. And so I'm going to put this orange box here because we need to figure out, are we using less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And so we have 4 options to go there, and then our total goes on the end. So that's the difference here, but the words themselves are very similar. So we do have some keywords that'll help us know which inequality symbol to use. And I'm going to go pretty quickly through the first 2 boxes here. This inequality symbol is a less than symbol, so if we see the words less than, then we're going to use that symbol. If we see the words fewer than, or something along the lines of stay under or under this amount, that would also mean below or less than. We can add below. I didn't have that before, so below something. The next one is greater than, so if we see the words greater than, then we know what symbol to use. We could use more than, or if we see the word above, then it would be the greater than. This less than or equal to, we have 4 different phrases. So one of them is at most. We could say no more than. If we're talking about a budget, or maximum. These might be a little bit more confusing because when we hear the words maximum or at most, we're thinking a lot, but the inequality symbol is actually less than or equal to. And so when we think about like budget, or if I want to spend a maximum amount of $100, I don't want to spend more than that, which means I could spend less than that or exactly $100. And so maximum means less than or equal to. Same thing with no more than. I don't want to spend any more than this amount, and so it's that amount or less. If I'm talking about I can have at most 10 students in the class, I can have 10 students or less. So less than or equal to. I can't have more than that because I'm at my limit. That's like the most I can get. It's like a capacity. So then the last column here, greater than or equal to, we can say at least. We can say no less than or minimum. So minimum, I like to think of Cedar Point and the height requirements to go on a ride. So there is a minimum height requirement of 42 inches, which means you have to be 42 inches or taller. So greater than or equal to 42 inches, because if you're too short, they won't let you on. So the minimum height requirement is that height. So it has to be taller than that or exactly that. If I say I want at least 2 dogs, that means I could have 2 dogs or more, so greater than or equal to 2. So we're going to go through an example. If I went too fast for those, you can pause and catch up. But we're going to read through this problem. So it says, Kieran is getting dinner for his drama club on the evening of their final rehearsal. The budget for dinner is $60, and Kieran plans to buy some prepared dishes from a supermarket. The prepared dishes are sold by the pound at $5.29 a pound. He also plans to buy 2 large bottles of sparkling water at $2.49 each. Write an inequality to represent the constraints on the evening of their final rehearsal. The budget for dinner is $60. So I want to point out it does say write an inequality. On your test, the questions might be jumbled. You're going to get different scenarios. You have to pay attention if it says write an inequality or if it says to write an equation. An equation, you use an equal sign. An inequality, you use one of these 4. So now I want to kind of underline some things. So the first thing that stood out to me was I have a budget, and that stood out because that was in our table above. And so I know I'm going to use my less than or equal to sign because that's what budget means. So my budget is $60. So that means my $60 here is my total. And so that's going to go at the end of my inequality. Then it says, Kieran plans to buy some prepared dishes from a supermarket. That doesn't really give me any important information, so I'm going to cross that out just so I don't get confused. Then it says the prepared dishes are sold by the pound at $5.29 a pound. He also plans to buy 2 large bottles of sparkling water at $2.49 each. So I like to start with my total because that usually stands out to me the most along with the inequality symbol that I'm using. So my total was 60, and we said it has to be less than or equal to that. I don't want to spend more than my budget. That's why I have a budget. The prepared dishes are sold for $5.29 a pound. And I could put that here or here. This is technically my change. But I don't really have a starting point since I'm paying for multiple things. And so I used a variable for pounds because I don't know how many pounds I can buy because I have a budget. So I need a variable. So I'm buying this and I'm also buying the water. So I'm going to add 2 bottles of water for $2.49 each. And so I need to make sure that I multiply those together, or I could do plus $2.49 plus $2.49 because there's 2 of them. I could leave my inequality like this, but I want to simplify it. And so I'm going to bring this down so I have 529p plus, and then I can multiply these out. So 2 times 249 is going to be 498 is less than or equal to 60. And so because this only asked for me to write one, I don't have to solve it. And so that is my inequality. I'm paying for $5.29 per pound of prepared dishes, and I'm also buying 2 sparkling waters, and I want that to be less than or equal to my budget of $60. The last one here is the bottom one. So Marcus got a job selling cell phones. He will be paid $1,000 every month plus 15% of all of his sales. He needs to make at least $1,900 to pay the bills. Write an inequality that represents the scenario. So the first thing I saw was he's going to be paid $1,000 every month plus 15% of all of his sales. and he needs to make at least $1,900. So I noticed a lot of things right away. The part that was confusing for me is it does say every month here, but when you're paying bills, you also pay bills every month. So if you're paying bills every month and you're getting paid every month, the every month part doesn't actually matter, so I'm going to cross that off. So my starting point is like the base pay, which is that $1,000. And then I saw the word plus, so I'm going to add on to that 15% of all of his sales. Now for 15%, I can't write the percent symbol in the inequality, so I have to figure out the decimal form, and percents are always out of 100. And so if you know that you move the decimal 2 places to the left to get 0.15, that's great. Or I could take that number, divide by 100, and then I get 0.15. So 15% of all of his sales, but we don't know how much money he's making in sales. So I do need a variable. And then comes my inequality symbol, and we saw the words at least. So if I go up here, at least is greater than or equal to, and then my $1,900. And my greater than or equal to does make sense because I want to make more than what I owe. If I owe $1,900 to pay bills, I don't want to make less than that. I could make exactly that, which wouldn't be fun because I would have no money left over to spend. Or I can make more than that, so it has to be greater than or equal to that $1,900. So this is our inequality. I made it through the video without it stopping on me. So you guys are going to, you're going to flip the page, and you are going to do the independent practice, these 2 questions on page 31 for homework.